There we go. I thought I'd have a glitchy background for this one. Fuck it, why not? Alright, I've already tried to film this video a few times now, but I just keep fucking up. And honestly, it's not that deep. I haven't got time to keep rehashing a video that no one's even really gonna fucking watch anyway. And like, I don't know, maybe someone will one day. Or my videos don't get that many views, understandably. As I've especially come to realise recently. Look, I'm going to give a general update on thoughts, stuff in my life, what I'm thinking about, whatever. You know, on my channel these days, I just tend to give you random updates. Let me just turn off go on airplane mode, stop them harmful fucking frequencies, bruv. EMF, I don't need that. So yeah, look, I'm just going to give a general talk and holistic update on random stuff, and so don't expect anything from me, right? This is unscripted, it's on a whim. I'm trying to be better in general with cutting to the chase and stop wasting time, because like my videos, some of my videos are like literally unwatchable, and that's a lot of what I've been thinking about recently. I've been changing a lot, been growing a lot, going through a lot. Just in my mind, I always, like, in some way, I've said this for years, I feel like I'm always going through psychological baggage, which is kind of a weird term, but not inherently, but like, I mean, maybe it's because I'm just thinking all the time. I have been trying to take a more of a Mr. Nature approach, if you're familiar with him. I've done a few podcasts and Instagram lives with him on my channel, and he's all about that Buddha mind and awakening. I've been trying to integrate that a lot more. But yeah, I just feel it's necessary, like, so look, long story short, like my channel, what is like the center of my channel really? I think it was like psychedelics, yeah, like, it really began, like, I've been doing YouTube and fucking around with all sorts of different stuff, music, fucking gameplays, well, like, way back in the day, I used to play games and shit, but when I was, like, really young. But really, yeah, it was, like, when I was, like, 18, 17, even 16, to be honest, but it took a while for the experiences to get really profound. Long story short, I was taking magic mushrooms, and I was familiar with lots of, like, spiritual teachings and stuff I found really via the internet. And like, you know, whether it was through different music artists like Mr. Traumatic, or I just found like these rabbit holes that I liked of spirituality and spiritual teachings and like conscious, say like me and Michael DeSalza, we run this page called Conscious Rapper Community, where we have loads of music artists that kind of like speak wisdom through music. It's things like that. I got like inspired deeply by spirituality, and on there, well, like, it wasn't even that shit really. Like, basically, you take enough mushrooms. Terence McKenna's a good example. Listen to his stories about the weirdest tales on We Plants the Happy Plants on YouTube, or some shit like that. And basically, yeah, you just, when I was like fucking 16, I discovered that you take these mushrooms, yeah, and then literally excuse me, you just fucking like, you take them and you just, it's like you dream while you're awake, but it's like different. It is a form of dream. It's like, if you take a big dose in silent darkness, you will live a vision and you will feel it, you will go through it. And some states on psychedelics are so alien where like you just, like, you don't even know like who anyone is or who you are or anything. Like, you just and there's a lot of patterns and geometry potentially. It depends who you are, but for me, I had very radically empowering experiences on psychedelics that like seemed to just instantly like cure depression. That's why I was so enthusiastic about it. I still am. I haven't done them for a long time. This is a key point. I've stopped doing psychedelics for like 3 months now, which is rare for me. If you've been following my channel, I didn't really think about it. This is a thought that I had recently, and again, I'm just going to be sharing random thoughts, just kind of spewing an update at you. for those who are interested, because that's what my channel is really for at this point, is people who have potentially had similar experiences or are interested in similar intellectuals. That's why I share a lot. If you go on my Instagram, etc., I don't just share my content, I share a lot of the people who I follow, because I'm kind of niche in a sense of like, if you know these people, then you might also potentially want to know me, in a sense, and that's kind of a lot of what my audience is. Why the fuck was I telling you that? Sorry. Oh yeah, something that I thought recently I was gonna say is basically, psychedelic states can be so heightened in awareness. Like, it's not a delirium like alcohol, or like, I don't know what to call alcohol. It's a depressant. I know Alex Jones called it a depressant. Like, there are stimulants like caffeine, sugar, cocaine, most synthetic drugs, and then like something like mushrooms is like it's mushrooms. There's no lethal dose, like, unless you literally just physically like override your whole body with, and you can do that with water, for fuck's sake. I mean, to be like, you can. I have a friend who I've made a video about in the past. It's not a great video. Most of my videos aren't very great, but I was in like fucking semi-psychosis the whole time, so that's why my videos are like not very brilliant in a way. Because I was just doing so many psychedelics. Because I say, oh, I ain't done them for like 3-4 months. Most people ain't done them for fucking ages. I was doing them like every 2 weeks for like 2 years straight. And I was receiving all sorts of visions and crazy shit, and like, yeah, they completely transformed my entire life. So, I don't know who I am still, kind of like, because I just got like sucked into the psychedelia, and like, I was whoever I was before that, and who knows who I'll be maybe kind of after that. I'll never get over it, where like, it will always be a part of me, but like, I never really anticipated, like, it's crazy how quickly, that whole thing, like, I made it become my identity in a way, because it was so radical. Yeah, like I say, like, it literally, like, I just take mushrooms and it just like cures all of my addictions and depression that I've had for years and stuff, like all of my mental struggles and like all the confusion. It's just like, it just cures everything instantly. And apparently I didn't tie what I was saying up earlier, which is something I've really got to fix, is the way that I speak. It's too sporadic, and it doesn't make my videos very want to be watchable, because I don't stay on topic. What I was going to say is, yeah, so the psychedelic state can be so heightened, of consciousness and awareness and spaciousness and presence, that the sober state is seen as drunk, in contrast to a psychedelic awakened state, aka heightened sensory perception. And I definitely felt that when I was doing psychedelics a lot. For context how much psychedelics I was doing, there's a video you can find called 12-gram Liberty Cap psilocybin magic mushroom first solipsism awakening. I took 12 dried grams of Liberty Cap psilocybin, and I had like a very deep, because I don't just take psychedelics, I take psychedelics and like my entire life is already devoted to contemplating the nature of reality, and I didn't even like choose to do that in a sense. I just kind of got sucked into it. I guess that's quite a good analogy for what awakening feels like. And like, it's kind of weird because like my whole channel is like devoted to a spiritual awakening. Like, that's what this whole thing was made for 2 years ago. But it's like it's such a weird thing, because like, what do I mean by that? And sometimes you forget sometimes you forget what that means. And it's tricky, man. A lot of it is just deep psychedelia, is what spirituality and spiritual awakening is. It's just the radical states of consciousness that you can access via psychedelics, breathwork, diet change, and awakening in general. But yeah, like, I wasn't doing psychedelics just on a whim, like, anywhere. I was actually sometimes, but really, like, I'd always been, like I say, I kind of got drawn into existentialism. I didn't really have a choice, and that's kind of how I feel awakening to be, is like, I don't really plan to talk about what I'm talking about here, but like, awakening is kind of just I was having a conversation with a few lads. I'll get into that actually. That's a good thing, because that was a thought I was having recently. But I was talking with these lads, yeah, at work. We were talking about mushrooms, and I was just saying the general gist. I was like, look, everyone just is born and kind of just gets on with everything. But like, you know, we're pursuing this, we're pursuing that. But then it's just like, what the fuck is even happening? And like, everyone was on the same page as me. They were like, yeah, like, because we started talking about like kind of the dream analogy. And what I just kind of brought up was like, almost, you know, the elephant in the room, so to speak, of like, well, existentialism. Like, I don't know how people don't talk about it in a way. I tend to be, lighter and easier with it. Like, I don't force, like, I don't speak too radically to everyone immediately about like awakening and the whole diet lecture shit, because I know it can be too much sometimes. But yeah, we ended up speaking about that existential sort of shit, and sorry, I'm just pretty stoned, which is another point, is hopefully in my videos, I think I have a lot more clarity maybe when I'm not stoned, and I think I could do a better job with my videos when I'm not stoned. We'll see. But yeah, I just wanted to give you an update. But yeah, in general, I think what I was saying a second ago, sorry, is yeah, awakening is kind of, that's how it feels. It's like you're just going along with life, as I was explaining to these lads at work. And then, like, you know, it's kind of like the timeless consciousness awareness. Like, that's what kind of, for me, yeah, a lot of how it happened is like, you just kind of feel the present moment, and you're just like, what the fuck? In terms of, what can happen once can happen again, likely. You know, like, who are you? Like, why the fuck did you even incarnate? Questions of this nature, like, surely there's something like that. Like, I didn't mean to just talk about spiritual awakening in general, but yeah, potentially maybe, well, psychedelics were like my main tool, and outside of that, I'm not doing too amazing in a lot of aspects of life, but psychedelics, like, they connected me to this kind of awakening stuff, which is basically, yeah, like, I've always had this intuition that, like, surely reality has got to have some kind of like existential like dimensions to be explored eventually. Like, surely it's not just like, oh, you're never gonna know, who knows, you'll never know the answers. Like, and a lot of people take it as a given that you can't possibly ever know the existential truths and answers to reality, but like, they take it as an absolute fact that it's impossible to know, which is kind of ironic. But, you know, surely there's like, you know, because a lot of reality, like, I find it can be very, you know, for a lot of people, it can be very quite limiting. Like, you know, where people could be tempted with a lot of people, for example, are living in poverty, and they're almost like tormented really with the idea of not being poor, and maybe they'll get out of it in that life, but it's like, you know, it's almost like the yin and yang. It's what I mean by some bigger existential plot to reality, in a sense, is like potentially heaven or hell realms. Like, why can't every wish be granted? Like, come on, that would just be so sick. I know obviously there's probably trade-offs, but yeah, in general it's just like, that's kind of spiritual awakening a bit. It's like, you're just like, something smells fishy, bro. What is actually going on? Like, ain't it weird? Just, well, in general, and that apparently you are this self. And psychedelics just highlight that, because they really like interconnect the brain and open the doors of perception, so to speak, and you can kind of like pierce the veil of reality. But yeah, there's a random round on spirituality, right? Because, well, I'm doing my best here. I'm not that good at structuring videos, but that's what I was talking to them lads about, is that spirituality is just kind of like, look, hold on a second lads, we're all going here, making money, going to college, doing all this shit, and that's all good, obviously, and that's survival, and don't lose sight of survival, because you might lose sight of survival if you take too many psychedelics, because you'll be in this timeless, awakened, present moment thing, and that is outside of time, and that is not where personal development is, because there's no personal development in the timelessness, kind of. But look, yeah, we're just going around, running around the world, pursuing stuff, and then it's like, wait, hold on a second for a minute. Who am I? And then you fucking literally realise, basically, I'll tell you literally what it is, basically, is you are God, and you are infinity, and you are love, and infinite consciousness, and emptiness, and nothingness, and everythingness, and you are God, and God is everything. And that is, you basically remember what you forgot, but you haven't got to believe me on that, and forget that, we're going to get to the next point. So I was chatting to these lads about awakening and stuff like this on mushrooms, right? Before that, one of them said to me, you sound like you'd be good on a podcast or something, and I'm like, well, I've got a podcast, basically. And now we're changing topic, because I wanted to just talk about general thoughts with my channel, just give a general update for those who care, because I feel anyone who can relate, that's where a lot of the value is with my channel, regardless if I was right or wrong in the past, regardless of how I feel about it now, whatever. Look, whatever my channel is what happened to me, honestly, and anyone who can potentially relate, potentially some of my videos, my older videos, can help you. Potentially you can perceive green or red flags within me that can help you if you can relate to who I am or who I was or what I've been through, etc. So yeah, eventually, basically, yeah, I gave these lads my YouTube channel, and then I go home and I smoke a zoot. I normally smoke a lot of weed. I had some time off, and then I smoked some more weed recently. I'm stoned right now, and the weed is very powerful if you don't smoke it all the time, as you get less of a tolerance, and then the experiences can be much more radical. But Anyway, I smoked a zoot, which I feel was partly responsible for the introspection that came after. But in general, basically, what I'm saying is, I can meet somebody, and I'm like, yeah, sound. And then eventually I'm like, or, you know, they find out my name, or I tell them my YouTube or something. I've had jobs before where I've literally gone to the interview, yeah, or like I've walked into a job and I'm like, are you looking for employees? Are you hiring, etc. And everything can be going smoothly and everything is going great, right? Maybe I'll meet them another day after that and we arrange like an interview or something. It's all sound. And then on the interview, they'll go, why should I hire you? Because I just found your YouTube channel. So basically what I'm saying is, people's perception will radically change of me when my YouTube channel is discovered. I don't blame them for that in some ways. Partly I do. Culture is very brainwashed. But I mean, a lot of my content is, I've noticed, it depends if the ego is talking or if a more humble version of myself is talking. So I'm learning a lot, but I've actually witnessed my ego come into action. Like, I can start a video where I'm humble, and then I can watch the ego in me develop while I'm watching myself talking. I'm thinking, oh, I look cool, I look good or something at the minute while I'm speaking, and then my ego will like play into that and weaponize that. Ego is a very illusory and strange thing in terms of the kind of the righteous or prideful ego. I don't want to speak from that place really anymore. I didn't really have the maturity or awareness to realize that sometimes I'm speaking from righteous, prideful ego, sometimes validly, but sometimes it's that I don't. To have a healthy ego is to have a conscious ego, and I definitely did not in some aspects. But I definitely remember having, and clearly having, I've even got some unreleased trip reports that you can see it in a lot, and they're unreleased for that reason. And often psychedelics would boost my ego as yeah, it's this kind of like look at me mentality. But in a sense, you know, it's not inherently a bad thing. But you know, ego is kind of gross. I don't really like ego because it kind of, it's not really very attractive. Arrogant ego. I've been very arrogant in some of my past videos. So yeah, basically the reason I say I had a zoot and then I introspected is like, so I met these lads, I partly befriended them, and then they find out about my YouTube. Now, there was nothing really said inherently like after that, but it's like, it's this intuitive knowing that basically like whoever I meet, if they ever see my YouTube channel, I've flipped the whole script on their entire perception of me, undoubtedly. And that's the thing about the internet, kind of, is it doesn't let you like move on from your past. But I can be very self-critical. Let's get into this topic now, which is basically I have been for a very long time on and off. It comes in fluctuations. I'm very much of it right now, which is like self-critical, insecure somewhat about my own content and who I have been, the way that I portrayed myself on the internet in the past. So it's like I've actually contemplated deleting a lot of my videos, or even uploading a video and titling it like I want to delete my videos, right? I don't want to delete it because I know a lot of you don't want to see me delete my videos, which is a lot of why I want to keep them up. But I literally did go Connor Murphy mode. If you know Connor Murphy, see videos on what happened to Connor Murphy. If you want to understand me, honestly, that will do a better fucking job go and look at Connor Murphy on YouTube. Fuck off with this video and understand that that was kind of the same thing. And I knew that it was happening while it was happening, kind of. But it's basically, yeah, like I say, psychedelics are literally like the precipice is not the right word. The cutting edge of all knowledge and wisdom and understanding of self. Psychedelics will literally collapse the entire dream. It is incredible. Like, you take mushrooms and then you just hallucinate that you astral travel. Like, what the fuck even is going on with that? So, in a sense, like, I feel partly like, you know, if you want to judge me negatively or whatever for how I am in the past or whatever, like, I almost feel partly like a victim to it. It's like, I just got sucked through this, like, wormhole. But, like, it wasn't, it's not like I'm just playing. It's like, I literally, like, lost the plot through psychedelics and stuff. And I'm not turning back to the NPC world. I'm always gonna be like, so I started taking mushrooms. I always had an intuition that mushrooms were gonna be something special, like, and they are spiritually a lot, and they're used a lot for personal development. They're very interesting. Like I say, it's like the cutting edge. It's the transcendental object at the end of time. Psychedelics it's literally like beyond boundaries. It's beyond science. It's literally, psychedelics are the most powerful thing that exists, basically. And they are the center of the universe. I think I remember what I was going to say. Sorry, you'll have to bear with me. I'm literally incapable of doing a better job at these YouTube videos. Like, and that's a big part of it, I feel. Is like, I think my mind was literally like physically going through like some psychosis shit where like, I literally couldn't do anything about it. I just had to like wait almost. So like, I understand people hate on procrastination and being lazy, and I do agree. And maybe that, to be fair, that would have, yeah, you're right. Maybe that could have helped more, but like, to an extent, like sometimes, like if you actually get psychosis, like, you know, you could be watching these personal development videos, like hating on yourself, like, why aren't I doing better with my personal development, man? But like, you literally are like in the 5th dimension and shit. You know what I mean? Like, if you literally have like severe schizophrenia, then like, obviously there's going to be a bit of a veil between you and these personal development things. Because most of them, man, aren't really on that, if you noticed. Most of them are kind of under the materialist scientific paradigm. Again, I just keep spiralling off into topics that I don't plan to speak on. But yeah, so no, sorry. So I started taking psychedelics when I was young, and basically what happened is I had these experiences that were so powerful, so empowering, so personally rejuvenating, and extreme emotional release and salvation, and then also insights and revelations into the nature of reality and my not just my personal life, but also about the nature of consciousness and God and death and life and love, and just an absolute complete rebirth that actually did completely 100% transform me. And that is why I was so interested, actually, I think, and this is what I was talking about on this point, is I basically devoted myself to, I'd done them like as much as I could for a long time, because it was like, it was a devotion, because basically the fucking speed at which I was going down this rabbit hole was so, it was so fun, I can't lie. It's like the psychedelic honeymoon phase. Same with Connor Murphy again, and somewhat I think it was like naive spirituality, but basically the reason that I kept abusing them so much is I was devoting myself to, basically this is something I've thought for a while, but if you want a number one formula to 100% completely, radically transform every aspect of yourself, I'm telling you, really, well, I don't know about all of them, I'm not telling you to do this, but in my experience, I took large doses of mushrooms, basically, whenever I could afford to, for about 2-3 years. I had about a year off, actually, at one point, but overall it was like every 2 weeks, every week. Sometimes I'd do one trip and then a bigger trip the next day after, and it was just magic mushrooms for the most part. Also doing a lot of like deep inquiry, maybe like meditating, listening to a lot of lectures, and just like deconstructing your mind, jailbreaking reality, jailbreaking your mind, jailbreaking the matrix, doing breath work, self-inquiry, general philosophical investigation, metaphysical investigation, epistemological investigation, and you don't even need to do all that. Basically, all you need to do is take loads of magic mushrooms all the time, and your entire every single part of you will completely transform forever if you take enough mushrooms. Like, some people take mushrooms, yeah, and they're just like, yeah, it's cool. And then I'm like, yeah, where are the aliens? So basically, like, I don't know, like, my first few trips were like, yeah, it's cool, but not really. Like, my first acid trip when I was like 15 was spiritual. I always knew, it was in my subconscious, no one had to tell me or convince me of shit. I already knew intuitively, like, I knew about mushrooms before anyone told me about them, I know that's not really true, but I was always intrigued, and I always had an intuition about the nature of them, I think. Maybe not always, actually, because I remember my dad telling me to never do drugs when I was really young, and I don't remember objecting and saying, but mushrooms are alright, when I was like 7 years old, but I don't know, I feel like I always kind of knew. Maybe that's not true. But yeah, that's the recipe for complete transformation. So basically that's why I devoted myself to it, because I was sick of who I was already. I'd already had like a depressing past, kind of, and like the idea that I could, like, because you hear these stories of like people doing psychedelics and like losing their mind and stuff. There was something actually rather interesting to me about like the schizophrenia. Like, how could you lose your mind? That don't make no sense to me. Like, that was so interesting to me. It's not actually until you're in the midst of it does it become no longer fun. Like, you can look at Conor Murphy and be like, oh my god, he went off the psychedelic deep end. Like, but like, a part of me is like, sees validity in some forms of mental health. Like, Terence McKenna speaks on how some cultures can perceive mental health as illness, and other cultures can perceive so-called mental health as energy sensitivity, and potentially utilize them as gifts, where it depends how you treat them. Like, in this culture, with the Industrial Revolution, etc., compared to like an indigenous tribe, potentially up there, schizophrenics can be used for different aspects. You know, maybe it's not everywhere they're universally written off as useless, but potentially they're just tuned differently. Maybe they do dream while they're awake, but what actually is that? You know? It's quite interesting. I don't know, to be fair, because a lot of mental disorders are so radical, but they do kind of seem like bad trips from the outside. Psychedelics actually used to be they used to be defined as imitating psychosis and schizophrenia. But yeah, that's why I kind of devoted myself to psychedelics, is because they were so radical, and I wanted to transform myself. Like, if I could just transform myself loads, like, that just sounded so cool to me. And that is what happened. You just take psychedelics, you have extensive visions that are quite exhausting as well. Like, there's so much content in psychedelia. It depends if you're meditating about it, breathing about it, or if you're thinking about it. I think that is an important distinction, is when doing psychedelics, they can drag you one way if you let your mind take you there, or you can be more conscious and in the present mind, and in the present mind you have potentially more control and spaciousness compared to where the mind can drag you through all sorts of stories in psychedelic trips. So yeah, I just devoted myself to psychedelics because I just wanted to change like that. It sounded very cool intuitively that these magic plants from the beginning of time, used by indigenous tribes, they give you psychedelic visions, and you know, I just intuitively was attuned to psychedelics, and I ended up building a philosophy that was like, the more mushrooms the better, because every time I took them, you just download like truths about reality. But yeah, holistically, a lot of what I've been saying here is that's partly why what I'm talking about with the being insecure with my content potentially, and wanting to delete my videos, is because yeah, I was just like, I was already in the midst of like a dysfunctional lifestyle and dysfunctional family. Had a lot of mental health problems in the past, and then I started taking loads of psychedelics and had loads of revelations of my like personal trauma, and I would just kind of like vent this into the camera, like, wake up everyone, these mushrooms are the best, they're gonna fix all your problems. And I kept taking the mushrooms, and I kept updating people on like, yeah, mushrooms are the best, people, like, they're but yeah, I'm like the personal development channel that never personal developed. Like, I started out to yeah, like the psychedelics were like curing me and helping me with everything, but then I eventually like they did like transform me completely. Like, the whole way my mind is now is completely different. There's like I don't know how to describe it, but like there's like this central like way that your mind works, and you can change that. I know that sounds stupid, but that's such a but it's like the actual way that you like, almost like the frame rate at which you process, or like, it's like over doing psychedelics for like 5 years and doing breath work and having loads of insights, and like it will actually change, like half of your mind will die and you will grow a whole new half. And that's what I mean by metamorphosis. It's like, and that was so attractive to me. But yeah, I was basically like, I just started venting on my channel, and that's what my channel kind of turned into, is like just venting loads of stuff about like the mass awakening. I'd have like visions and downloads from psychedelics, like sometimes, like, just to like, I'm not bullshitting. Can people understand that when I'm like, I'll make a video talking about my most profound psychedelic experiences soon, but I'm literally saying, I'm not trying to believe in any of this shit inherently, but like, I'd sit there, I'd take 7 grams of shrooms, I'd sit there by the lake in the sun, and I'd literally watch like the whole, like, it's like you can feel like the whole world with your mind, to the point where you actually like become directly conscious of like stuff. Somehow you eat these mushrooms, yeah, and you've got to understand it on an intuitive level as well. It's not just take the mushrooms and then you'll get it. Not inherently. It can for some people, but you got to get it on a deep level. Like, these mushrooms come from this earth, right? Cultures and tribes have known about these from the beginning of time. You take it, it rewires your brain, and it activates neuroplasticity and neurogenesis. It brings neurogenesis, and if you look at the brain scan, it makes sense. It interconnects all of the brain with the rest of the brain, like hyperactivation, hyper-interconnectedness, hyper-communication. The way that it feels, the previous 100 trips, the previous contemplations, the listen to all the lectures, the meditation and the breath work and the synergy of the different substances and the using your awareness to understand how it affects consciousness and doing deep philosophical investigation, understanding that everything is different states of consciousness, becoming deeply familiar with yourself and feeling reality and meditating consistently and doing inquiry into the nature of the self. Who is the self? Going into no mind. Understanding scriptures, as above so below. Understanding sacred geometry. Understanding love. Understanding that you can understand at all. Understanding that you are the universe looking through the universe at the universe. Understanding that everything is all one energy. Understanding that supposedly when you put your head down on the pillow at night and you go to sleep, you dream somehow. That does happen, right? How does that happen? What is that metaphysically? What is consciousness? What is infinity? What is the pinnacle of infinity? What is truth? Why am I? What is concept? What is self? What is mind? What is physical? What is wisdom? What is the self? What is love? I don't know why I went down that big list. I'm very stoned. But yeah, so I'm definitely an advocate of psychedelics, no doubt. They're on the cutting edge of all understanding, and psychedelics, one thing that kills me is how is there so much industry in science but there's none in psychedelics? Like that's crazy. It's like they're wasting their time, and I know they are. It's like science turn into psychedelics. You've got to, that'll be the most fun period of humanity of all time. Science, stop fucking around with material. Start fucking around with psychedelics. You all need to stop fucking around with atoms and the outside world. You've got to do the psychedelics and change the perceiver, and that is where the real shit is. But yeah, the reason I was saying that, and it ties into kind of how I say that I nearly feel like I'm a victim to it. Nearly, it's because bro, I literally gave that thing is open for as long as you want to look. Psychedelics, I'm talking. Ryan Sanders recently said to me, he feels like I've got all I need out of psychedelics for now. I actually do feel that, which is quite interesting. So I'm happy I kind of pushed them balls to the wall, so to speak, because I actually did have the deepest insight into the nature of reality, and that was my phone started playing a song by itself at the perfect time, and the meaning of the song was too perfect, and I can speculate whether it was a glitch on my phone. It sounds like I'm just being schizophrenic, actually. I know how it sounds when I'm saying it to people who haven't been there, and it's so funny. The insight is too radical to explain. I'm gonna try again to rehash my solipsism insight soon. But yeah, it's literally that I become so conscious and so aware that there was no self, there was no other, and everything is ultimately the self, God. And when the Godhead becomes fully conscious of itself and fully realized to be a dreaming mind, infinitely interconnected and infinitely imaginary from the source, then basically you can dream any dream you want. There doesn't have to be any limits or rules. Anything does go, really. It's like when you dream at nighttime, you know, the rules are a bit more relaxed. You can do that in this dream now if you become more lucid, is what I'm telling you, and what I became conscious of, because I've experienced impossible things of radical self-realization. And that's like the pinnacle, is self-realization. Of like when you become fully lucid that you are the dreaming mind of God. Everything is, yeah, when you become fully lucid that everything is not material, and I know that's just a label, but like it actually becomes physically real, that you can alter reality with telekinesis, because your mind is actually dreaming the whole thing. So like physical manifestation is God's will actualized, because infinite love is being pursued at all times by the infinite mind of God, and that is physical occurrence. But yeah, so yeah, that's what I mean. You can just take mushrooms on a whim and just chill, and then you'll just get pummeled with a vision from God. And then, you know, I didn't have a chance, but you know, I had to speak about it, for fuck's sake. I'm not lying. That's what you have to understand, is that it actually happened to me. I am a fucking human being. I'm not chatting shit. I'm not doing all of this for attention, or what do you think it is? Like, do you like, regardless of what you think I'm going on about, and I might have had some stupid opinions in the past, and I might have said a lot of stupid shit, or I might have said it in a way that wasn't the best way that I could have said it, because of multiple reasons, right? I know that I haven't been perfect. But whatever I'm fucking going on about, can you just understand that I fucking took mushrooms when I was younger, and I literally met God? I'm not making this up. The rest of it is just on the periphery. The main point of my channel from the get-go is that you take, inevitably, if you take enough of these mushrooms and you lay down in the dark, you will literally tear the fucking fabric of reality until it all becomes immaterial. Therefore you can fucking penetrate the fucking center of the universe and realize that everything was imaginary, and one day you're just going through life as a fucking ego. You believe that you're just a being in a bag of flesh, and you're just walking around on this rock in space, and you're just some bacteria on a rock, and you're just fucking pursuing this and pursuing that, and going with culture and doing this and doing that, and then you're just going through life and thinking that you're a victim to everything that happens to you, and actually thinking that you are this body, and thinking that the rest of the world is other than you, and you actually are living fundamentally within this physical distinction of self versus other, and me versus you, and you're just going through your life and thinking, yeah, my name is my name that my parents gave me, and here I go, I'm gonna fucking do all this and that, and then one day you literally find yourself in the center of God's creation, of God's mind creating reality out of pure imagination for infinity and timeless nothingness. And then you'll go back into the ego separation, and so what the fuck do you think reality is? Again, regardless of, you don't have to, it's like, bro, you take mushrooms and you will literally meet aliens. That's why what happened to me happened. So that's why I don't want to delete my videos, but I feel like deleting them because this culture is such a type of way that it's hard. I mean, to be fair, a lot of it was my fault because, well, I got sucked off the deep end because no one knows how to deal with them. Part of the reason why the psychedelics really got to me the way they did, I feel, is because I'm taking responsibility, ultimately. But like a lot of it is the culture is backwards, because because the culture is so thick, to be honest. Humanity is still in the dark ages, and my psychedelic business was some next level shit, to be honest, and this culture is not equipped for that. Some indigenous cultures and stuff who have been fucking with these plants for a while know what these plants are, but get that these plants are illegal over here, and that makes it hard to do research on them, so not many people really are aware of them. So I started taking loads of mushrooms and things, and people didn't really understand what was happening because no one else has really got much experience with them. So I think it can be dangerous to do psychedelics in a backwards culture, because you will start to get into alignment and things will fall away from your life that aren't in alignment, and this culture is not in alignment, so you're going to fall out of this culture while you're still in it, basically. Alignment in general is quite an important thing to me. I think staying in alignment is really the whole gist of personal development and spirituality. To stay in this kind of like central flow alignment in every dimension of your life. But yeah, I don't want to delete my videos, and I've please understand, and be grateful to an extent, if any of you actually care in this kind of psychedelic scene, is that I want to delete a lot of my videos, and I would benefit from deleting a lot of them. But I've actually, it's because I devoted myself to psychedelics and this mass awakening and the archaic revival that I feel I won't delete them, because look, I may have said some stupid things in the past that I'm going to address. I'm going to release even more of my older unreleased trip reports in the future, but I could delete them all and try and craft my identity cooler so that the mainstream is more accepting of me, in terms of, that's a lot of what it is, because I'm in this culture and I'm not like self-sufficient to where I need to have a boss. I feel like deeply psychedelic people will understand me, but most people in this culture are not deeply psychedelic or psychedelic at all. So that's where a lot of the struggle can be. So understand, like, this YouTube channel, because it's actually tied to my real name, and I've said a lot on here over many years, and the vibe is definitely changing. I've changed to a lot more long form content like this recently. But it's a big weight on me in the world. Like I say, when I meet people, their perspective of me instantly changes if and when they discover my YouTube. So on that topic of being genuinely insecure about my content, why am I like that? One, because I was a lot more naive than I thought I was. I was more immature than I thought I was. I likely still am. Also, I was very mentally ill. I've listened to a few of my older podcasts now. One of them is called Mental Health Talk in March 2023, which is not even a year ago now. Yeah, the amount that I've changed and grown is crazy to me, and that's a lot of why a lot of my channel, it was inevitable. I don't know what I thought would happen, but over years, obviously I'm going to look at my older content and I'm going to have change. That always happens to everybody, regardless of what your channel's about. So I feel I've changed a lot from who I used to be, and I don't know what that leaves room for in the future. I will always do updates on my YouTube, I feel, because I've already made such radical statements that I feel it's almost my duty, and just to give a bit of an update, not that anyone has to care, but like I say, if anyone relates to anything that I've been through, then hopefully this can help. I also feel God likes to tell stories through humans, and I hope that maybe I'm one of them humans, or maybe I know that I am. But often, if I ever get down about things, or things aren't going my way, I just think, the only thing that can make up for it is if God really made up for it. In terms of, you know, who knows what the possibilities are. I might get down and depressed and stuff every now and then. But, you know, the possibilities are really radical and endless. And I think, who knows, potentially culture could be swept off its feet in a lot of ways. And, you know, a lot of what I'm talking about, yeah, a lot on my YouTube channel in general, like I'm talking about being insecure about some of my content and wanting to delete it all, and potentially is like, maybe now, yeah, but, you know, a lot of the news and stuff is talking in general about mandatory UK military service. I don't want to fight the government's war. I'm not interested in Babylon, Matrix, concrete, fucking, because it's all lies. Like, I want to go to the psychedelic jungle and live not with reptilians and fucking demons. And fucking bio API, androids, nanotech fucking robots, bro. They live robots. I've met them on psychedelics before, I'm telling you. But yeah, but like, you know, I might be kind of insecure about some of my content like that, but I'm talking facts. At the minute, it might be like a strain on me socially a bit, but like, wait until the war pops off full blast, or like when the mass awakening actually comes. So like, the reason why my content is staying up the way it, like, and it is a strain on me. Like, it takes a lot of mental energy from me, to be honest. It's hard to keep it up. It makes me a target in a lot of ways. My reputation is extremely radical compared to most, and I do, like, I'm not just saying that to be cool. It's not inherently cool. It's like I said, I'm quite insecure about it in a lot of ways, because I've said a lot of personal stuff on my channel. I've been seen in all sorts of states, raving on psychedelics, talking about certain things, like having ego dissolved to the point where, like, I don't even care what I look like at all. And that is a lot of what happens in psychedelia. Is like, there's no, you're just completely beyond boundaries. Yeah, where like you don't care what anyone thinks. But you know, it's like, psychedelics will stretch your mind, and people don't understand how far that goes, to the point where there's no more outside world, and like everything becomes self, and then you can't even talk anymore because like you're so conscious that like you're just infinity. And I'm not taking the piss, like that stuff happened to me. It's not like I was really playing into it. It's like I just stumbled into a fucking existential wormhole. And I just got sucked into it. But yeah, like, that's what I mean. It's like, I'm proud of my content in a lot of ways, just because I'm just talking out. I'm speaking out. I'm speaking my mind. And a lot of it is like being a victim to the system. And I spoke about that quite a bit. I made like a 4-hour video recently called Extreme Mental Suffering, which I'll give an update on in a sec. But yeah, it's like, one of my first mushroom trips was my wage slave awakening, where I took a big dose of mushrooms, and I realised that I'm just like trapped in this system of wage slavery and work that was like killing my soul. And the mushrooms made me realise that, and I feel like that's a big part of why they're illegal. And that was my first video actually. That's what made me start my channel. So a lot of my thing is like talking out against like government corruption, and I think that is a lot of it. Well, I know it's, yeah, best not be a victim and stuff, but yeah, like, it goes hand in hand with the spirituality and personal development and awakening and stuff in general. Is fuck's sake. Yeah, like, I am biased towards conspiracies, I find. And a lot of these personal development channels and stuff, they just don't see that in a lot of ways. Even Actualized.org is biased against conspiracies, which I overall disagree with him, because he got the COVID jab. But yeah, an update on my video. It was called like Extreme Mental Suffering Report. Basically, I was at work and I had a horrible day in my mind for some reason. I'll give a better update on it in the future, to be fair, but in general, is look, I get that it wasn't because I was at work inherently, but like I do genuinely think, right, that yes, look, take responsibility and be happy working towards your goals and do the best you can and be grateful for what you got. At the same time, we don't know how big Babylon's power is in terms of like how brainwashed are people, because like it was, I always go back and forth between the being more conspiratorial, more radical anti-government compared to thinking that everything is kind of normal. I think overall, I think the world is good, kind of, like people, like overall life has good intentions and like it's for enjoyment, I guess, but like at the same time, how do we not know that the planet wasn't like stole by fucking shape-shifted reptilians or some shit? Not saying that that is inherently the case, but I mean in general, not even reptilians, but like, you know, because why were we born into this system anyway? Why does everything look the way it does? So like, yeah, take responsibility, don't be a victim, don't play the blame game and be pointing at the world as if it's other than you. But at the same time, on the relative plane, it's like, you know, what is Babylon? What is Western culture? Who owns it, really? What is the World Health Organization going on about? Like, why did we all get injected when we were kids? So what I'm talking is that video where I had a really hard day at work. It's like, yeah, I understand that my mind is creating it by resisting the world, and I'm not saying it was inherently about work. I was saying I was at work while it was happening, but I just had like a fucking like depressive episode, right? But part of me now thinks like that like this grid of concrete and warehouses is literally like an invisible prison, and it's a weapon on purpose. Like, you know, you hear things about simple things like the radio being tuned to like an evil frequency. Like they take it away from 430. What is it? Not 430, for fuck's sake. 432 hertz. So they change it to something else that's not as good. Or I'm not saying, I don't know if that's inherently true, but it's and you know, you're forced to be surrounded by internet radiation and things. So I'm saying potentially, it's worth to be skeptical about everything. And recently I've fallen in love a lot more with this artist called Payday Monsanto. If you want to know more on the topic that I'm speaking here, go check out Payday Monsanto, because he does it justice. It's basically like he entertains these ideas that there's like invisible like technological frequencies and like chemtrail nanotechnology and shit, like you breathe in like government weapons that are like invisible in the air, like particles, and that like it's almost like how, like, you know, you see how big the fucking like Babylon's forces are, etc. Like missiles, like compared to like conscious rapper community and these like artists that's speaking out in that, and then you've got like literally like the power disparity of like the most radical fraction or ratio, where like literally like it seems like, and yeah, it's and in this way it's good to, it's not to be a victim, but it's like it's almost worth entertaining the possibilities of like, you know, why is all of our food genetically modified? Why is most shops like basically exclusively polluted food? Why, yeah, like COVID, that's like the most obvious thing. We if you're still living in England, we are living on the very land, the very country, the very place that just did the lockdowns and like the vaccine mandates. Two of my sisters, they were working in care homes. They were forced to get the injection, otherwise they'd lose their jobs. And then, of course, the truth came out about the injections and the extreme health adversities, like what's the right word? Like they were like severe. You can find vaccine injury reports on the internet that are very extensive. I've followed it quite a lot, and it's not inherently conspiratorial, but I like to entertain conspiracy often because it leaves room for plot twist in the movie and the storyline of reality. If the conspiracy is true, if a bit of it is true, it leaves leeway for a recontextualization of the ways that things are. And if that is a possibility, then that's the same reason why I went so radically down the psychedelic rabbit hole, was almost in pursuit of change. Revolution brings change. Revelation brings change. Recontextualization equals change. Like realization of solipsism. But yeah, I'm saying, like, what if this entire culture is literally a weapon? There's a lot of evidence. So yeah, in general, I've just spoke a lot of shit. Sorry, I feel kind of different in this episode. I'm really high. The weed is kind of strange that I've been smoking. But yeah, that's that. In general, time is being very, very valuable to me at the minute in terms of what I've been going through personally. Yeah, so I reflect on a lot of my old content, and yeah, I'm quite insecure about a lot of it. I was immature when I was speaking. Take a lot of my old content with many grains of salt. I've been very close to deleting a lot of it. I feel I will actually change my name from OXSN into something different in the future when I evolve enough, as I feel this name, who I am now, this is how I feel and how I've said it to people, is that the way that I've made myself look on the internet now, the way that I've portrayed myself, is not who I want to be. I do not want to be the version of myself that I have made myself to be on the internet, because it's far from my highest self. So basically, whenever I search up OXSN, which is who I supposedly am, and what is tied to my identity and everyone I meet, whenever I look at that, for the most part, everything that I see, I'm not very proud of or happy with very much. I am quite a bit of it, to be fair, but that's kind of a goal for me, is to override my old content and to step up the quality and pump out content so that I can override my old self. But also focus on my own personal development to become better with myself, to prove to you guys is that I'm more than I have been. I want to really prove that people like Mr. Traumatic have been a good influence on me. Check out my video, How Mr. Traumatic Saved My Life. He's a conscious rapper, and keep in mind that I'm also working with the conscious rapper community on Instagram, SoundCloud, YouTube with Michael DeSalza, and that is a lot of what I'm pouring my energy into, or that I hope to more in the future. So I've got my main project, which is OXSN, OXSN, and then Conscious Rapper Community I'm helping with on the side, and a lot of our stuff is on Instagram, mainly there. And if you want to join some group chats on Instagram, We did have one on Snapchat, but my Snapchat got terminated. But we got group chats of like-minded community, local community as well here in England. If you're interested, of spiritual and psychedelic community, and we're quite interconnected, and we talk a lot on Instagram and got WhatsApp groups, and we're doing conscious rap ciphers, etc. So hit me up in the DMs, and I'm willing to chat to whoever. And I'd really appreciate potentially your criticism of me. Is something I've been wanting a lot more of recently, as I've been doing a lot more introspection, and I need criticism. I would rather people didn't withhold it, as there's a lot that I need to learn, and I definitely need to improve in a lot of ways. And yeah, so that's where my old content is. Yeah, I can be quite insecure about it, and the reason I said time is quite valuable to me is that I'm changing so much, and I feel like I'm just maturing and growing due to my age. I'm only just 20 years old, and with that I feel like with time I'm changing anyway. Well, a lot of my old content, I'm kind of hard to follow. I likely am as well. In this video, I know I've messed up my talking kind of a few times. I'm too sporadic and like schizophrenic, where I just branch out into like ADHD fashion into loads of different topics, and I don't tie the loose ends. But I try my best, and hopefully I'll get better. And I think I am getting better with time. And if you'd recognise that I was too sporadic and ADHD in the past with the way that I speak, I think that is actually quite a good reflection of the nature of my mind, where I've actually listened to old videos where I am so different from how I feel right now and how I have been, to the point where like it actually feels like nothing could have saved me other than like potentially months of recovery, where like I actually like blew my mind so much with psychedelics that, like, you know, if you literally develop like some form of like psychosis, not entertaining those labels, because I don't know if I believe in them inherently, it's more like spiritual awakening, or they're kind of the same thing, or regardless, you know, what is that, for fuck's sake? Like, how long can it take to restabilize your mind? Like, if you literally lose your mind, how do I, like, what do I do? Do I just wait? Like, so I know people can hate on you for spending time on social media and stuff, and potentially that will actually cause and feed into the cycle of the negative mind state. So you'd probably be better off just being a functional human in the world and doing more grounded, better habits. So who knows what came first, the chicken or the egg? But you know, if you literally lose your mind and like you supposedly like have a fucking sacred vision from the fifth dimension, you know, at that point you're literally gone off the deep end. So like no YouTube video is really going to help you. You are kind of like in a fucking spiritual float tank of infinity. You know, once that happens, once you perceive synchronicity enough, you're basically fucked, basically. So listen, get this, right, if you're listening to this. If once upon a time you was a human being on Earth, just going about normal human being endeavours, and then you experience radical synchronicity, basically you have gone off the fucking black hole, what do they call it? The fucking horizon? What the fuck do they call it? Oh my god, bro. Basically, you've gone off the fucking deep end. Synchronicity is when you have an insight or a fucking crazy thought about the nature of reality or something like this, and then you immediately read that, or like it's like you can think something so particular, and then you walk through the street and you hear someone else talking about exactly what you were just talking about. It's like the Truman Show. That's synchronicity, kind of. It's like when literally the dream starts to collapse to the point where, like, yeah, like I say, the most radical experience I had on psychedelics was on 12 grams of dried literary caps, and I literally, my phone, I was having radical insights about reality being a lucid dream, right? My phone was on the other side of my room. The song that it played was only relevant to me on a previous trip. Like, I had a God realization, and then I randomly searched up that song. You can find that on psychedelics. It's like, when you're in a radically psychedelic state, like, you just find, like this is, and it's weird how I can have a radical psychedelic awakening that is so profound, and then somewhere from my subconscious, it will tell me, go search up this video. And I'll go search up that video, and that video is like, full of the exact meaning of that trip. But that video was never relevant to me in the past. Something just told me to do it. And so that video only became relevant to me in that trip, right? And then a future trip, on the 12 gram one, it played by itself, and my phone was on the other side of the room, and it went, I had a dream, I got everything I wanted, not what you think. And if I'm being honest, it might have been a nightmare. But bro, it was such a synchronous, like, I can't explain synchronicity to you. I can't explain it, bro. It's you're dreaming the whole world is inside your mind. You're not in the world is inside you. And when you realise that, you actually realise that there's no such thing as other. And when you realise there's no such thing as other, everything becomes you. And when everything becomes you, it is all your body and is all being dreamt by the same mind. Therefore, you can dream anything you fucking want. Therefore, you unlock limits. You've broken all limits. Therefore, your free will and voluntary and involuntary breaks down, where you are no longer only moving your body, you are actually moving the entire fucking planet and the whole world and the whole field of consciousness. This entire bubble was you the whole time, but you just imagined a distinction between self and other and voluntary and involuntary, so that you think that you choose to lift up your arm. But how do you choose to lift up your arm? Where does it all come from? How you're doing everything. Do you beat your heart? Do you grow your hair? Do you grow your nails? Do you shine the sun? Do you pour the rain? Do you walk the dog? Are you the dog that's walking? You can get to a point where you're so radically conscious that you can literally taste every single sense perception as if it is your own body, because it is. And when you realise that, you realise that it's like this. That is me. Hi, my name is OXSN, and that is Mr. Traumatic. Wagwan. Mr. Traumatic up in here. And I'm like, let's do a feature, Trauns. And he's like, yeah. He's like, nah, fuck you, you're shit. Let's not do a feature. And I'm like, woo. And then I cry about it in my separation paradigm. And then I realised that basically that there's no reason to feel lonely, because everyone's one, there's only us. There's no such thing as loneliness. It's like, when you realise that the person who hurt you is actually you the whole time, because there's no separation between self and other, because everything is just sense perception and energy that makes everything the same thing, and everything is the same thing, and there's no self and other, and everything is just one thing, and that is the self with a capital S. And then when you realise that, that is the most radical recontextualization of your entire life, and everything's imaginary, and that explains psychedelics. Anyway, I'm out of here. There is your update of sporadic schizophrenic craziness. But yeah, see you later. I'll give you another update soon. There's your I got shit to do. So yeah, I don't know, I hope that cleared things up, I guess, a bit. I don't know, I'm in a limbo, to be honest, right now. So I'll just keep you posted a bit on how I'm feeling and shit, because I think it's important. And yeah, just have faith, and to be honest, I don't fucking know. I don't know. All I know is half of this culture is literally addicted to poison and synthetic medication, so at least I'm doing better than them, man, even though I hate on myself, and I know that I shouldn't hate on them, and I don't, I love them, but on a relative plane, you know, I'm doing a lot better than other men. So even though I'm not perfect, and most of this culture is fucked, so, but look, the tables are turned for everyone. Karma is going round and round, just like the universe and the planets in the sky. Bye.